Hi ho, it's off to work we go. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho. January 31st. I cannot think anything that's worse. That's not a very happy song. I'm glad I'm not wearing a bong. Oh, I just recorded this video and it didn't pick up the desktop audio and I was pissed. Now I'm just going to tear through it and film it again. So the great thing about January 1st, try not to do that, is that it is a payday. And it's also on the cusp of being February, which means we have this great reset period. A ritual I do every payday is I look up payday and paycheck memes. Payday memes are more difficult because they're usually about the video game Payday, but paycheck memes are always fun. Today I found a description of Homer Simpson's economics. I'm going to post a link to that in the description. I think it's pretty funny. And now I'd like us to go through a guided meditation so that we can transcend this realm and prepare ourselves for February.
The prophecy is true.
Yeah, good old Hans Zimmer from the movie Interstellar. Definitely one of my favorite movies. Saw it on my birthday in 2014. Seen it plenty of times since. Okay, well, we are going to review January and then we're going to plan for February. The number one thing I pay attention to on a monthly basis is what was my savings rate. My savings rate for January this year was good, but not great. It was good. So I checked the box. I did my job. Wasn't great, but when I look at what caused me to save less money, it was charitable giving, and I don't do enough charitable giving, so I'm okay with that. I can live with that. I will survive, and it's yeah, I think it's really it's a growth thing. I have to wrap my brain around it better than I am. My spending outside of that was $2,025, and I was aiming to be below $2,400 to stick within that 60K Bay Area budget. I think about $1,500 of that is like need to spend, no choice, and then $500 is optional things. This month I had about a $280 cat vet bill on top of the $1,500, so you know, cats cost money, that's for sure. If you would like to easily keep track of your monthly spending, Personal Capital is a great way to do it. They give you a month-over-month comparison of what your spending is, and so you can see during what part of the month do you spend more money, and you can compare yourself to last month all the time to see if you're on track. It's free, and it's easy, and yeah. I also will review any purchases that I regret for the last month. And the only one that I regret for January is that I bought an SNES Classic I should not have bought. And I've got 10 more days to return it. And we will see if I return it. Hopefully. It's not looking good for our hero, though. I really like that thing. All right, and then let's go on to February planning. First thing for February planning is look up February of 2017. Look up February last year and see if there were any charges that are not currently on your budget that you expect to pay again. For me, I believe it is car insurance, about $350 for 6 months of car insurance. Turns out that's what I'm paying. After I include that in my budget, then I make sure there's about $500 of padding in my bank account beyond the planned spending. So $500 beyond $1,352, which is my planned spending for the first part of February. And then I transfer all the rest out. Get it away from me. I don't want to see it. I don't want to be tempted to spend it on an Xbox One X that's got a 20% discount because they're running those all the time right now and they are tempting me. So I have to get this money out of my hands. Otherwise, I'm just going to spend it. My choice of savings account is the Betterment Safety Net Fund. That is a fund with Betterment that is 60% bonds, 40% stocks, really conservative. There's a 4-day transfer time to get your money back, so you cannot impulsively spend out of this account. At least they make it pretty difficult. So for me, that's the right choice because I don't trust myself with money I like spending on things. And so I have to just get it completely out of my hands, out of my mind. I'd also like to note that this is my first paycheck with a Trump tax cut, so I hope your paycheck also includes a Trump tax cut. And I would immediately put all that money into savings because you probably didn't plan for it. And if we put it into savings, almost everyone's going to have $1,000 of savings before a year is up. And that is the first step of getting on track. And of course, if you are still in a student loan situation or a debt situation, instead of transferring all this money to savings, you're going to be transferring to pay off your smallest debt and trying to attack that with a vengeance. Of course, also on top of making the minimum payments on all your others. So that you'll have to look at your snowball. I guess I should just do a video on the way debt snowball works. But you can also look it up online on Google right now. Not too hard. And finally, for February planning, we look at a good old calendar. And we see what is true about February that we can plan ahead of time for. So we have Valentine's Day. And how are we going to plan for that? Are we going to do something very personal and very heartfelt, like a macaroni painting to our loved one? Or are we going to do something very impersonal and lacking of soul, like take them to a nice restaurant? I don't know. What are we going to do? Guess you'll have to figure that out yourself. I also have a trip to LA that I paid for with points last year for one of the weekends. So I'm going to have to figure out what my cost situation is on that. I got probably some Ubers to the airport, and I imagine I'll probably eat out more there than I would at home. But maybe I can convince my friend to just eat groceries the whole time. I guess we'll figure it out. We have a 3-day weekend, and weekends are a time of spending. So maybe we want to we plan a bunch of hiking for that 3-day weekend this month at a time. Get a group of friends together because hiking is cheap. And finally, we want to see how many weekends are between us and our next paycheck. And it's a pretty typical situation this February with 2 weekends between us and our next paycheck. January was pretty brutal. It was, I think January 12th was the paycheck and then January 31st. So that was a pretty big gap there. But now we're on to a more normal cycle. I feel like a weatherman. Okay, that's what I got for February planning. If you want to improve on your January, or you weren't happy with your January, or your January went great and you just want to prove to yourself you can do it twice, then February is your month. It's the only month you got, too. Hope this was helpful. Spend some time today planning your February and watch this cat video 17 more times just like me. Things will work out. All right, great. Have a fabulous Wednesday.